4th to the 10th of April is being celebrated as Chiropractic Awareness Week this year, and I thought this would be the best time to spread awareness about this form of alternate medicine. Awareness about how useless this really is. I don't know, there were so many takers for this form of woo-woo medicine in India until I heard a few friends talk about it and saw some ads on social media promoting it. For those who are not aware, chiropractic is a form of alternative medicine concerned with the diagnosis, treatment and prevention of disorders of the musculoskeletal system, especially of the spine. Chiropractors believe, and I stress on the word believe, that mechanical disorders of the joints, especially of the spine, affect general health, and that regular manipulation of the spine, or what they call a spinal adjustment, improves the health. This method of treatment was invented by a single person, a man named Daniel David Palmer, a Canadian-American school teacher and grocery shop owner who endorsed other forms of pseudoscience such as magnetic healing and also opposed vaccination. All it took him was one day and one patient to come up with an entire form of treatment on his own. Palmer came up with the entire medicine system called chiropractic, much like our dear old Samuel Hahnemann did with homeopathy. And the beginnings of chiropractic is even more funnier and bizarre than homeopathy. This account has been told by the daughter of their first chiropractic patient, William Harvey Lillard. Harvey Lillard was a janitor of a building where Palmer, the father of chiropractic, was practicing magnetic healing. Harvey had a medical condition where he was hard of hearing. So one day, Palmer overheard Harvey telling a joke to his friends. He joined the group to hear the punchline, and having liked the joke, he slapped Harvey on his back in an appreciative gesture with the book that he was reading. A few days later, Harvey remarked that his hearing had improved since the incident, and out of this one case was born a new form of medical system, chiropractic. I remember getting a lot of cane whipping from my school teachers when I was young. Those whippings sure cured me of many problems like not doing homework, for instance. Now I am wondering why I didn't invent buttopathy or buttopractic during those days. I would have been a millionaire by now. Anyways, Palmer was also quoted as saying that he received chiropractic from the other world, from a medical physician named Dr. Jim Atkinson, who incidentally had died 50 years ago. In fact, the system is so unbelievably similar to religion that Palmer once wanted to make chiropractic a religion. So as you can see, the beginnings of this system of alternate medicine is pseudoscientific, but the process and practice are even more so. This is what we will discuss today. Welcome to Pale Blue Thoughts, the channel which debunks pseudoscience and promotes scientific temper. First things first, the practitioners of this form of treatment are not doctors. A chiropractor may have a Doctor of Chiropractic or DC degree and may call themselves as a doctor, but it's not a doctor of medicine or MD, and they cannot use the word doctor in front of them, technically. What Palmer extrapolated from a single case was that there was a misaligned bone on Harvey which he set right, which fixed his ear problem. He didn't know that the nerves for the functioning of the ear existed inside the skull, and he didn't bother to test or reproduce his results. He said he found the one cause for all diseases. He thought that all diseases were due to subluxation of bones out of place. He theorized that 95% subluxations of the spine and 5% of the other bones. So what is this subluxation of bones? Simply put, it is a displacement of bones in the body which chiropractors say is the root cause of the disease. They think that they can feel bones out of place in the spine and they can put them back, curing the person. Their theory also states nerve impairment, a false belief that all bodily functions are governed by nerves in the spine, and the displaced bones interfere with the nerve function. Chiropractors have their own vitalistic principle, and their vitalistic force is called innate. When you fix the subluxations or displacement of the spine, then the vitalistic force of innate is channelized properly and nerve functions are restored. All three of these ideas are false and pseudoscientific. It is interesting to note that X-rays were discovered on the same year that Palmer formed chiropractic. Using X-rays, it is possible to know if there are any subluxations or dislocation or fractures within our bones. However, the chiropractic subluxations cannot be seen through an X-ray. And the reason? It is because there aren't any. Several chiropractic schools have been asked to submit X-rays of the subluxated bones, and they have not been able to do so. Chiropractors emphasize the management of the neuromusculoskeletal system without the use of medicines or surgery, with special emphasis on the spine. Back and neck pain are the specialties of chiropractic, but many chiropractors treat ailments other than musculoskeletal issues. Spinal manipulation, which chiropractors call spinal adjustment or chiropractic adjustment, is the most common treatment used in chiropractic. They basically thrust hard on your back and neck with such a force that makes a cracking sound. Some people resort to using plain hands, but some resort to crude devices like the toughness device, the nervoscope, or a plunger type device called the activator to adjust the slight vertebral misalignments. They would tell you that the cracking sound is the bone popping back into place, but it isn't. It is the same sound that you hear when you crack your knuckles, and it is basically gas rushing in to fill an area of decreased pressure when the bones are pulled apart when you crack your knuckles. Now, there are some similarities in the way chiropractors and homeopaths work when faced with challenges to prove their methods are working. They come up with lame excuses. Remember the water memory and nanoparticles in extreme dilution defenses of homeopathy? Chiropractors once believed in BOOP, bones out of place. When the theory couldn't be demonstrated via X-rays, they resorted to silly statements like, well, there is a displacement of bones enough to cause disease, but it is too tiny to be shown up on X-rays. So they came up with yet another definition of subluxation, which was that it is a complex of functional and or structural and or pathological articular changes that compromise natural integrity and may influence organ system and general health. This looks straight out of a Deepak Chopra book or a Sadhguru lecture, minus the references to dimensions. Plain word salad. Now see how modern medicine defines a disease like diabetes, for instance. See the difference. Any doctor who reads the evaluation would make the same diagnosis. It is not vague like the definition of subluxation, which can be interpreted by different people differently. Now, some of the chiropractors who had LED instead of tube lights in their brains decided to conduct a study on their own practice. And what did they find? They found no supportive evidence for the chiropractic subluxation being associated with any disease process or of creating suboptimal health conditions. They concluded that the subluxation process had no clinical applicability. Results pretty much like the recent study done by homeopaths on the effectiveness of Arsenicum album 30C. That video is found here if you want to watch it. In India, we call it Apne hi pair pe khuladi marna. But the practice, subluxation, still continues to be used by chiropractors even today. Remember, one of the characteristics of pseudoscience is the inability to change. Next comes nerve impairment. Palmer thought that all bodily functions arose from the nerves in the spine. He had no knowledge about our cranial nerves or hormones which controlled our body. In fact, he had no clue about the anatomy of the human body as it was not developed during his time. Today, we can sever all the nerve connections from an organ and transplant it to another person, and it will work. In fact, we have even started experiment with organs from other animals. The poor chap believed that pressure on a nerve impedes the neural functions, much like the flow of water is obstructed when you step on a hose pipe. Today we know that the neural messages are electrical impulses, and we can even measure them. Also, today we know that the nerves have plenty of space to move inside the spine, and it is not thickly compressed that even a minor pressure would cause pinching and nerve damage. Just imagine what would happen to contortionists and circus artists if it was that easy for the nerves to get damaged. Palmer had no clue about the germ theory of disease, although it had been proposed at that time, but it hadn't gained popularity. The last chiropractic principle, and the most pseudoscientific in my view, is innate. It is a mystical force that maintains health like the miasms or the vata, pitta and kapha. In fact, chiropractors believe that their innate can influence the innate of their patients. What? How in the wide world? This is just vitalism again. There is something called as applied kinesiology that sometimes chiropractors use. Look at this photograph. Who is treating who here? Well, would you believe if I said that the chiropractor is actually diagnosing the young girl by holding the mother's arm and testing it? Believe it or not, 43% of American chiropractors use this technique for diagnosis. need any more evidence that this is just quackery? So this false notion that some undetectable, unmeasurable, undefined life force exists within your bodies has been soundly rejected by science long time ago for want of objectionable evidence. Now let us see what harm can be caused by following the pseudoscientific form of treatments. Neck manipulations can cause strokes by damaging the vertebral arteries. Normally, arteries are fine to handle normal head motions. However, imagine being subjected to a forceful twist or turn. This can cause a tear in the artery which can lead to a clot. In the course of time, the clot can travel through the arteries and clog an artery in the brain, leading to a delayed stroke. And because it is delayed, the connection to the stroke and the neck manipulation might be missed. Complications due to chiropractic treatments include local discomfort at the area of manipulation, which appears in half of the patients undergoing this ridiculous treatment. It can also lead to headache, tiredness, broken bones, herniated disc, disability, paralysis, and even death. Take the case of Laurie Matthiasen, who was a 20-year-old patient who suffered from tailbone pain. She underwent over 20 neck manipulations, and with the last one, she ended up with convulsions on the chiropractic table. The chiropractic's response was to slap her face to try and revive her. She died in coma 3 days later. Some chiropractors deny that neck manipulation can cause strokes. However, has any safety studies been done on neck manipulations by the chiropractors? None whatsoever. If it was a modern medicine drug that would have caused such an incidence, it would have been banned forever by now. There has been many studies that have been conducted to test the effectiveness of chiropractic, and they have all come to the same conclusion, that there is no conclusive evidence that chiropractic manipulative treatment is effective for the treatment of any medical condition except perhaps for certain kinds of back pain, which too has no evidence beyond the usual placebo response. For want of time, I won't go through the studies here, but I will post the links in the description box if you wish to read. As you may have realized by now, chiropractic is nothing but a pseudoscience. Their practitioners are deluded into believing that all diseases are caused due to subluxations of the spine. Many often do not disclose that they are chiropractors and offer medical advice on things which they don't have any expertise of. The case of Eric Berg, who is famous on YouTube as a nutritionist, is a perfect example. Of course, he has millions of followers like any other pseudoscientific charlatan. It appears that people want to be deceived, or in this case, manipulated. Literally. Many chiropractors also denounce vaccination, perhaps because their master, David Palmer, was against it. I wonder if they really think that COVID is caused due to a misaligned spine and they can put pressure on the virus and drive it away. All they can show as evidence for the treatment system are anecdotal evidences and individual case histories, just like any other alternative system of medicine like homeopathy, Ayurveda, Unani, Yoga, Siddha, etc. If you're a person following this form of treatment, do ask the chiropractor how their system works and watch them squirm. Just be careful that they don't wring your neck in anger. When I checked on the website of the Indian Association of Chiropractors, I found only 14 clinics are registered there. However, a quick look on YouTube revealed that there are more practicing this quackery than the ones registered on the website. However, it appears that it hasn't taken roots in India like homeopathy did, and I hope it doesn't. On the pseudoscientific occasion of the Chiropractic Awareness Week, this is my way of spreading awareness about this pseudoscientific quackery and hoping you would share this with your friends and family and save them from getting manipulated. Chiropractors would only pinch your wallet and not your nerves. There are only two kinds of medicines or treatments, one that works and one that doesn't. The one that doesn't work is based on silly principles of a bygone era, while the one that works is based on proper clinical trials and is evidence or rather science-based. Stick to EBM if you want to live a healthier, longer life, and chuck what deserves the dustbin into the dustbin. And finally, I hope you liked this video. Please let me know your views in the comment section. I will be back soon with yet another interesting video. Until that time, this is me Anand saying bye-bye from Pale Blue Thoughts.